Gomez and Company here as we welcome in our pal Joe Convertino Jr. from CH Insurance for our Cup of Joe. How are you doing, Joe?
Hey, good morning, Gomez. I know we were talking quick off air. I had to go run and get my coffee.
That's okay. That coffee, it's essential. I had seen something online the other day that said at night, coffee is recreational. In the morning, it's medicinal.
Okay, but I can't even pronounce that. But Gomez, why do people out in the community, my clients, my friends, they're like, Junior, why do you even drink coffee?
That's a good point. You're one of those. You're a high energy guy, and you would think that's true. Those who know you would wonder why you would want to amp that up at all.
I agree. Hey, test for you. Groundhog Day. I don't know if you talked about it. You had to on the radio.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
6 more weeks of the cold and winter. So I'm loving the groundhog saw its shadow.
Yeah. Well, I think for most of the country, it may have more impact. Locally, really, for the most part, whether it sees it or not, we got 6 more weeks of something.
I would say 12 weeks.
No doubt. Well,
it goes into the end of March, early April. I just hope the St. Patty's Day parade is sunny and 55.
That'd be great because our pal Ralph Rotello, the shoe repairman, is the Gale for this year's St. Patrick's Day parade, and he'll be marching with the Grand Marshal. Last year was like the year of Ralph, and it continues here.
It's going to be great. That'll be awesome for him.
Joe, speaking of the weather and the groundhog, last weekend on Friday locally, and around the country for that matter, but locally is when it was brutally cold, and a lot of people who would, I knew a lot of people who would turn on a faucet, let it drip a little bit overnight, open up the cabinets underneath the sinks so that the heat from the house can keep the pipes from freezing up. But I know some of the older homes and some people did have some problems with that this past weekend.
Yeah, no, it was when that temperature, 12 below, wind chill of probably 25 Friday and Saturday, our phones rang off the hook Sunday and Monday. So just our agency. So what happens, Gomez, is obviously there's certain sections that may freeze, and then it warms up and pop. And pop goes the weasel or pop goes the water.
Oh, man.
And water is just so bad for damage. And what happened to me, I had to come down to a building locally Sunday. Picture a building you guys are in, Gomez, right? Mm-hmm. You're down on the first floor. There's other businesses on the first floor, and there's businesses on the second floor. A sprinkler head. Right. So even in the business world, same with personal, right? Your home pipes, a business has sprinkler heads. So if I were to ask you to look up, you probably see a sprinkler head in your DJ center there. And what happens is those tend to have a freeze. And we had 2 sprinkler heads burst at an office building locally. OK, the water ran for about a half hour.
Oh, no.
For a half hour on a Saturday afternoon. Okay. So this is why all business owners that own buildings, okay, why underwriters ask a lot of questions. Do you have a maintenance person that works, full time during the weekend to check a building? Luckily, they had someone to check the building and they caught it. But still, over $200,000 of damage that the insurance company will be paying because it affects other offices too, right? It's not just it's their building, but it affects the renters in the building. Okay, so for all our listeners, make sure you keep the heat on at a reasonable temperature. But the other big thing is have a property restoration company lined up when this catastrophe happens. Right. And then you call your agent and then we get involved and, put them through the process. But it's just when it gets like that on Friday and Saturday, and that's just our place. I mean, I think it happened all over Central New York. So,
and then along those lines, too, when something like that happens, is it long term, like say 6 months from now, that same business finds out that because of the water that came down, all of a sudden now there's a mold issue behind the walls. Is that like something they can come back and say, hey, we're not done here yet?
Yeah, well, typically mold's excluded, okay? But what happens at the time of the loss, companies are pulling back drywall. They're pulling back the molding on the floor, Gomez. They pull the carpeting up just to make sure. This one company I'm talking about had over 100 commercial dryers in the first floor. Picture 100 dryers just, on a Saturday and Sunday. And it dried up and, hopefully there's no mold. But that's what insurance pays for, right? Less the deductible. And but this would be considered, Gomez, almost like a catastrophe claim, right? A spike real low in the temperature. It's not going to happen today or in the summer or in the fall. It's when it gets really severe that this stuff happens.
Good time to point that out because there's still, as we decided here, Joe, still plenty of winter left here in central New York. So it's pretty mild at the time being, but takes just one forecast from Wayne Mahar to change all that.
Oh,
good
I
time
know.
to check yours.
Yeah, these are some good days where you're doing on a day like today, Gomez, you could do some driveway swinging, right? Swing that club in the driveway.
Yeah.
It's 40 degrees and, start working on that because, you'll be playing soon.
Well, speaking of that, this weekend in Phoenix, is it not the Waste Management Phoenix Open?
Oh, I just can't wait to watch that hole 16 where there's 20,000 people and they just go crazy. They just go crazy.
One of the great events in all of golf right there. The 16th hole at the Waste Management Open.
I love it. You ever been there?
No, I went years ago. If I'm not mistaken, I went 35 years ago. It was the Greater Greensboro Open in North Carolina, and that's the one that moved out to Phoenix, which is now the Waste Management. I've never been to the current one, but the very first pro tournament that I ever went to was the Greater Greensboro Open, but it was like 1985 or something like that.
Oh, that's great. But I was talking to someone from Buffalo. Talk about a great guys trip this weekend. They're going to Arizona for 2 days of golf and then the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
Our wives would love us for that one.
That would be it, right? That would be the end.
I know. All right, buddy. Go
right,
Orange. We'll get the Orange discussion next couple weeks, but let's get back on the W, Florida State tonight.
All right, Joe, thanks. We'll check in a couple of weeks here.
You got it. Have a great day.